Welcome to Creative Tian channel. Today we want to review knitting needle sets. This one is by Knitter's Pride. It has a very unique color and different sections on the needle. The other one I like to review is the Hiya Hiya needle. It comes with a very interesting case and all the needles are organized here. So it's very convenient to find what you're looking for. There's also a big pocket in the back. Now let's start with the Knitter's Pride. This is my current favorite. I like the case. It's very sturdy and I like the color combination. And you can hold everything in one place. There's a pocket for accessories. There's a clear acrylic, so you can see the needles when you close. And you can snap close from the outside. So that's the case of this Knitter's Pride needles. And let's look at the accessories comes with it. It comes with 3 different size cords and 2 of the green one, that's the same size. Let me measure it. It's about 24 inch of the green one, and the pink one. The pink one is about almost 32 inches. And the blue one is about 16 inches. And you can always buy extra cords separately. And they also come with the end piece and a piece of metal to tighten up. And I think the most unique part about this set is the inch indication. You see the cords, there are marks here. It indicates the inch, so it's like a ruler. It's on all the cords and also on the needles. You can see every needle has different sections. Each section is 1 inch. So the needle is the 4-inch needle. You can tell by the ruler. That's 4 inch. So it's pretty convenient when you are knitting because we do a lot of measurement and we can just use the needle. And all the needles have the numbers, the US size, and also in millimeters. This one is size 8 and 5 millimeter. So it's very convenient because a lot of needles, they don't have very clear label. Or sometimes you're not sure if the American size or European size, and it gets confusing. Here is a closer look of all the needles. We start with the largest one. That's the A millimeter or US 11. And then we have 6.5 millimeter, 6 millimeter, and 5.5, 5 millimeter, 4.5, 4, 3.75. And the last one is 3.5 millimeter, the US size 4. So it's very convenient for general hand knitting because it covers the most frequently used size. But if you do a lot of specialty knitting, like socks or lace, you might want to look at different set or extra needles. For general hand knitting, I think this is a very good set. And how do they attach to the cord? For this system, it's very easy. You just screw it in. And if you don't need to use circular needle, you can just add one of the end piece on the other side. It's very flexible. You can have 2 needles or 2 end piece or 1 needle and 1 end piece. And one problem of using the interchangeable needle is that sometimes it can get loose. When you are knitting in the middle of the project, if you get loose and you don't notice, the needle can fall out and that can be a problem for your project. For this system, it comes with a metal piece, you can tighten it. That's a small metal piece. It looks like a pin. And the way to do it is to place through the hole here. There's a tiny hole. You go through it. I always think you have to turn it this way, but actually this just holds this piece in place, and you turn the needle here. So you can tighten it or loosen it easily. Because with this pin, you can have more control of this section. It can be fixed here, so you can turn easily. That's how you tighten it or untighten it. And it does get pretty tight. So that's one positive about this needle set. Let me show you the end piece. And you can just screw it in. So it's like a long needle. If you're knitting a blanket, this will be useful. Or if you want a needle for a different project, you can just put the end piece and then put the project aside and use a needle for a different project. And it's also nice that they come with 4 sets of the end piece and the pins. So you don't have to worry about losing them or not enough of them. Now let's look at the tip. It's not a super sharp, but it's sharp enough for me. And it's very light, so it's not too heavy either. And it does make the metal clicking sound when you knit. I know some of the metal can contain nickel, and that can have issue if you have skin allergy. But this one, so far, I don't have problem with it. So I think this is a winner for me. Now I set up the 5mm needle, and I'm going to try it on my worsted weight yarn. I like the needle tip because it's not too sharp, because I tend to use my finger to push the needle tips, so I have more control. So when it gets too sharp, it will hurt. I like the metal needle because it's very smooth, so I can knit faster. And this is still pretty light, so it doesn't make my hand tired. So every few rows you want to check the connection doesn't get loose. If it gets loose, you can tighten up with the pin again. And you can see the inches. You can see how many stitches in 1 inch, because the pink section is 1 inch. The steel color is another inch. You can see your gauge. This one has about 4 stitches per inch here. So that's very useful. And you can always use the cord. You can see all the dots. Each of the dot is 1 inch. And you can measure the height with it. Now I have about 1.5 inches here. So that's the Knitter's Pride interchangeable needle. And I recommend it if you just want to get one set, all-purpose and practical. And you can find the link in the description box below if you are interested in buying. The second set I want to talk about is a Hiya Hiya set. And I have this one for several years. So it looks a little bit old. And this is an interesting design. It's a pouch with nice fabric. And there's a bag in the back. I put all the cords here. I think I bought extra cords. You can always buy extra separately. And there's also a pocket here. You can put in any accessories. It's a good size pocket. And the needles are here. They have a flap to protect it. I probably should put it the other way, like that. The Hiya Hiya needle comes with different sets. The one I have is a smaller size set, and I have 7 sets of needles. The largest one is 5mm, and the size of needle is less than 4 inches. more around 3.5 inches. They also have the 5-inch set if this is too small for you. I figure for the smaller size set, I can use shorter needles. And for the bigger size set, I can use longer needles. So I have 5mm here. This one is 3.5mm, 3.75mm, 3.5mm, 3.25mm, 3.75mm, and this is 4mm. And you can see it's a little bit harder to read compared to the Knitter's Pride set. This one comes with 7 sets of needle, but the Knitter's Pride comes with 9. The needle size is about 4 inches long, so that's very similar. Actually, this one is a little bit shorter. Some people might find it too short, but you can always buy the 5-inch one. And this one is made of stainless steel, so it's still very smooth and it doesn't have problem if you have skin allergies. And they also have different type of tips. This one is not the sharp type. If you do a lot of lace knitting, you might want to go with the sharp needle. I saw they have the small size set, 4 inches or 5 inches needle. And they also have the larger size set, 5mm and up. And they also have the sharp needle set. That's for extra sharp needle. And recently I saw they have combination of smaller size and larger size needles. I think it's about 13 sets of needles total in one pouch. And again, you have to pick 4-inch or 5 inches size. Here is a connection cord. Let me show you how it connects here. Let me just pick randomly. Again, it has a screw, you just screw it in. And they come with the pad to tighten up the needles. Here is a rubber pad. So the way to tighten is just to hold it, grab it. So instead of using the pin, they have 2 pieces. Place the pad on each side so you can tighten it nicely and it doesn't fall out easily. So that's a different system to tighten up. From my experience, they are both very smooth. The cords are flexible enough. It doesn't really give me problem. It's not the most floppy type, and it's the same with the Knitter's Pride, but it's flexible enough for me. The only issue for the interchangeable type needle is the connection. It tends to get loose. So if you're not paying attention, it can get loose and you might lose your work. Every few rows, make sure you tighten it or at least check on the tightness. Other than that, this is a good value set too. I think the Hiya Hiya is cheaper than the Knitter's Pride. And the Hiya Hiya needle has a 3.2mm needle. This seems harder to find needle. So it depends on your needs. If you just want a general purpose, you can go with either one. The reason I like this one, the Knitter's Pride set, better is because of the look. You see the bright color, it looks so cheerful and you don't lose it easily. The Hiya Hiya set is just a basic stainless steel. It's practical, but not as fancy as this one, at least for the presentation. And you can look at the size difference. This is Knitter's Pride, and the Hiya Hiya one is more compact, and it's very easy to carry. This one has a hard case. It feels more luxurious and sturdy. Now let's try the knitting with the Hiya Hiya needle. I feel for this set the needle is a little bit too short. I think I would rather have the 5-inch needle because I have big hands. I feel like I'm not grabbing the needle here. Both sets of needles are very smooth and very light. So it's really your choice. Do you need a whole set or just the basic set? Or do you need a lot of lace or socks? And maybe you need a lot more smaller size needles or use sharp needles. So both sets are good choices. And you can always buy extra needles and extra cords later to expand your collection. You can find the links in the description box below. Thank you for watching and talk to you next week.